Gaza has become the deadliest place in the world for journalists. As of August, at least 278 journalists and media workers had been killed by Israel since October the 7th, 2023, according to an independent analysis by Al Jazeera. That number has likely grown in the month since. And as Israel continues to escalate its genocide in Gaza, the need for journalists on the ground has never been more crucial. They don't just share what's going on inside of Gaza with the world, but they serve as a bulwark against Western media, which continues to shamelessly sanitize Israel's crimes. Among those journalists in Gaza has been Plestia Alaqad, who was just 21 years old on October the 7th. Plestia rose to fame online as she documented the genocide in real time and posted on social media for the world to see Israel's crimes. And now she's the author of the Eyes of Gaza, a diary of resilience, a new book revealing her diary entries in the days, weeks and months that followed October the 7th. Plestia Alaqad joins me now from Lebanon to talk about her new book. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
The start of the book, Plestia, at the very beginning, you talk about how you began writing in your diary, and you wrote about what every average 12-year-old at the time, 12-year-old girl would write about school, friends, even your crush on Zayn Malik of One Direction. Roughly a decade later, your diary now serves a very, very different purpose. It documents the outbreak of a genocide. I have to ask, what would you say to your 12-year-old self who started writing that diary? Did you ever imagine what it would become?
No, to be honest, when I started writing in my diaries, it was a way of documenting my days, sharing my days with myself. But I never thought that I will actually write and document about a genocide that I'm living and that is happening to my people. So I just can't believe how this is possible or how this is even real.
You often describe in the book your frustration with how Palestinians are viewed by the rest of the world. You say that international media would only be interested in Gaza whenever Israel is involved in some aggression or when there's some bombs going off. Is it the case that the rest of the world, even prior to October the 7th, was only ever interested in Gaza in terms of caring about your deaths and not your actual lives? And I wonder, how did you reckon with that? I'm just talking about before October the 7th. How did you think the world saw you guys in Gaza?
The world sees us in the way the media portray us, and the media only cares about us or portray us when there's a genocide, an Israeli aggression, when we're dying. That's when the media is interested in us. And if you ask any journalist in Gaza, they will tell you journalists work only when there is Israeli aggressions, because that's when the media starts contacting them and, okay, we're interested now, work on this story and work on that story. I feel like the media is trying to put us in a way that as if we're born to die. They don't want us to show them our life or what's happening. They just want to see us killed, displaced.
And in your book, you note that at the time of October 7th, 2023, you were 4 Israeli aggressions old. 2009, 2012, 2014, 2021. That is a devastating way to measure time, to measure your age, to measure your life. Is that how a lot of people in Gaza see it?
Unfortunately, yes, because that's the reality.
The reality is just regular episodic violence by Israel, mowing the lawn every few years, as they say in Israel.
Yes, like I remember in 2021, I was a university student studying in new media and journalism in Cyprus. And there was COVID, so university was online. So I was like, oh my God, this is my perfect chance to go back home to Gaza and visit my family. Because even if like the borders opened or closed, it's fine. I won't miss my midterms. Uni is online already. And suddenly in 2021, like I arrived tonight, the next day, or it's actually the same day, an Israeli aggression started. So it's like you start marking the time and marking the dates by the Israeli aggressions that you witness.
And you mentioned journalism. What made you want to become a journalist as a young woman in Gaza?
I feel like it was more of a purpose than actually passion. I feel like in Gaza, most of us would choose our majors in a mission-driven way. Because
Yeah.
I don't like the way the media is portraying us. And honestly, I was a bit naive when I was younger. I thought people who are on TV, they have this a huge power that I was like, oh my God, I want to be on TV and say free Palestine. And thinking it was as simple as that. Thinking like I thought when I was younger, the only problem we had is the media isn't doing us justice. So I thought if like it was reported on Palestine or Gaza specifically, in an objective like way, then Palestine will be free. So that was part of the reason why I wanted to be a journalist as well. And I remember early October 2023, my first video that went viral, many channels that I don't even know, I never heard of them, started translating my video and posting it. And I remember reposting one of the videos on my story and saying, I wish this will end soon. I wish these videos will help in raising awareness and so on. And I genuinely thought these videos would be so powerful that the genocide will stop.
Yeah.
But little did I know that it will last for 2 years.
Yeah, I don't think any of us imagined it would get this bad for so long. But you were posting these videos, and many people became familiar with you from the videos you posted. The first video that famously went viral, you were talking about sheltering away from the windows, and all of a sudden a bomb goes off in the background. That's how a lot of people first came across your videos. Did you expect so many people to see that video? What was that experience like for you? Suddenly the entire world is watching your every move.
I didn't expect at all, especially that when I filmed this video, I sent it to my friends group. So, and I was like, okay, let me actually post it. But I thought my reaction was normal because I'm traumatized. I'm around the traumatized people who give similar reactions. So I thought that's a normal reaction. But when the video went viral online and people were like, what's wrong with her? How is she so calm? How is that her only reaction? I realized how how it's wrong to have such a reaction. Like, are you so used to it that you're that calm? Like, I realize like how much trauma does it take you for this to be your reaction?
And of course, as you became more and more prominent, you became the target of Israeli propaganda. The necklace, you write about how the necklace you wore in the shape of Palestine, which had been passed down to you from your mother and your grandmother, Israel was suddenly claiming that necklace said, annihilate Israel, even though it simply said Palestine in Arabic. They were suggesting that you were a member of Hamas, as they have done about many Palestinian journalists, colleagues of yours, who they have killed. What was that moment like for you, suddenly not just to be getting all this love and admiration from people on Instagram around the world, but also threats from Israel?
I wasn't surprised, to be honest, and I felt like, how desperate can you be that you're literally attacking a necklace? Like a necklace that because I said the story of the necklace, it used to be for my grandmother, then my grandmother gave it to my mom, and it was passed along to me. So this necklace is probably in a way older than Israel. So for me, I was like, oh wow, you're that pathetic that a necklace is annoying you, and you're writing articles about it, and I was suddenly anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I mean, that's the accusation, of course. So many of your colleagues have been killed over the past 2 years, with Israel claiming they were Hamas. What has that been like, dealing with the death toll? I mean, it breaks our hearts from far away as people who care about Palestine. As a journalist, I recently spoke in London where I had to do a tribute to the Palestinian journalists at the Wembley concert. But what's it like for you as someone who was there? These are people you knew, people you worked alongside of. What's it been like?
The word heartbreaking is honestly an understatement. I just wonder when journalism has been a crime and when has killing journalists been allowed or okay. Like, what type of world do we live in? Where right now, probably the journalists that got killed in Gaza are more than the journalists that are still alive and reporting. And I don't think anyone in the world understands how difficult and challenging it is to be a journalist in Gaza right now. Journalists are starving while reporting on the starvation. Journalists are also a target, getting killed while reporting on everything that's happening. So they're living everything, trying to survive it, knowing that they're at risk of getting killed any minute, or their family is even at a higher risk because of their profession. Yet they wake up every day and try to tell the truth to the
Yeah,
world. But
but the world isn't listening, unfortunately. Well, Western governments certainly aren't. I got to ask though, as someone who was not some experienced war correspondent, you had not worked in multiple war zones around the world. Yes, you had lived through 4 Israeli aggressions on Gaza, but October 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, massive massacres take place. Some of the worst killings happened in October 2023, the Jabalia refugee camp, other such massacres. What's it like for you as a young, newish reporter, not used to doing all this stuff? You're turning up at the scene of Israeli airstrikes. There are headless bodies, killed children, families under the rubble. What is that like for you? How do you process that?
I don't think anyone knows how to report on a genocide. I remember at Press House Palestine, we used to take workshops on, like, as a journalist, how you're supposed to be professional, how to remain safe, how you should always wear like the press gear when reporting an Israeli aggression or something. But what was happening, like, there's nothing you can do to have experience or like to protect yourself. And it was so hard to actually believe that what's happening is real. Sometimes I get like, so I'm just focused on the camera, I'm filming and interviewing the person. Then like I'm just too focused on the filming part. Then I start looking and I'm like, oh my God, this is actually
Yeah.
someone I know, because Gaza is so small and we all know each other. So sometimes like I deal with things as if, okay, I'm just a journalist, I want to finish this video. Then I realize that this is my friend, the one I'm reporting on, like her story, for example. So it's beyond devastating, especially that you're Palestinian and these streets that are getting bombed, the homes, the houses, the people are getting killed. They're all like your friends, your family. Like this is your whole life being bombed away. It's not just like a news headline.
It's very personal, of course. Looking back on your reporting, you write in the book, I think people in Gaza are divided into two groups. The first is made up of those who, out of dignity, want to share their stories with the world to prove what's happening is happening, so their experiences aren't for nothing. The second group are those who, also out of dignity, don't want to share their stories with the world because they don't want to be seen as displaced and hungry. Both groups are proud in very different ways, and I don't mind either, you write. As a journalist, though, you kind of need the first group, don't you? Because you need to be storytelling. That's the only way you're going to have impact.
Yes, but I'm the type of journalist who never pressure people to tell their story. Sometimes I tell people, yeah, I want to report on this story. I want to post it on my Instagram or for a certain YouTube channel. And if they were like, no, we're tired of talking, to who are we talking to? We don't want to talk anymore. I give them that space because I'm a Palestinian journalist. So I don't treat these stories as a news. So even if these people, they're too triggered from journalism or journalists, or they don't want to share the story with the world, I give them that space. There are plenty of stories that I saw and the people shared with me. They were like, we will tell you our stories. If you want, you can like say the stories, just don't picture us. And some of the reason was that they can't believe that this is them or their life now. There was this girl, she lost both of her legs and one arm. So she was basically living with like half of her body, quarter of her body. I don't know how to do the math. So she was like, I can't accept that this is how I look like right now. So I don't want pictures of me without my two legs and hand to be circulating online just for everyone to be like share,
Yeah.
like, comment, and that's it. Like it won't actually do any change. And I respected that. I wasn't pushing like, no, maybe your story will raise awareness. I believe awareness is already raised. So if you want to share your story, of course you can. If you don't want it, no pressure.
No, that makes total sense. And it's a very difficult situation to be in as a journalist covering these stories. You are now in Lebanon. You've also lived in Australia. You write in the book that you fell into a depression after leaving Gaza and arriving in Australia with your family. Again, what was that like, if you don't mind me asking? What must that be like to leave Gaza behind, leave behind friends, family, colleagues who aren't leaving Gaza, but you have left Gaza? How do you process that? How do you deal with that?
Now, looking back at it, I feel like it's selfish to say that I feel depressed after leaving Gaza, because if I feel depressed, then people in Gaza, what are they supposed to feel? I feel like they should use the word depressed more than me. But the thing is, ever since I left Gaza, I started processing in a way or understanding everything I've witnessed. And I just felt that I just didn't feel safe. Like until now, I don't feel safe. Even though in Gaza you never feel safe because of Israel, there's the genocide. You know they will kill you, but there's just this type of safety knowing that you're in your homeland. But right now, I don't ever feel safe. But it's not this type of safety that Israel will kill me. It's this type of safety knowing that I'm not in my homeland. Like now, I'm suddenly a refugee, and whenever I want to visit any country, I need to apply to endless visa just to prove endless visa and paperwork to prove I'm real and genuine. And I can't even go back to Gaza because as a Palestinian from Gaza, I can't go back. But white people, I can't go to their country without a lot of paperwork, but they can go back to my country. So I feel like the challenging part is ever since you leave Gaza, you understand that this world isn't yours, that you'll never belong in a way. Like Gaza
Yes.
was protecting, Gaza was, sometimes I feel like Gaza was protecting us from the evil world.
And I'm guessing you dream about going back to Gaza.
Of course, but I dream of going back to the Gaza I know. Right now, when I look at pictures of Gaza, I feel like I don't recognize this. There isn't a lot of streets to recognize anyway. I can't recognize the streets and the places. So I just wish to go back to the Gaza I know, not the genocide at Gaza.
You say in the book, wars do not end when the bombs stop falling. They linger in the minds of those who survive and in the void left by those who do not. For Palestinians, the war is never over. Ceasefire is merely the space between tragedies. And in that space, we carry with us the unbearable weight of memories that cannot be undone. You said you had thought the genocide might be over when you'd left by now, and it hasn't. Do you have any hope for actual peace, or is it just a matter of let's find a way to stop the fighting? We're speaking on a day where the Trump administration and others are again claiming we're very close to a deal. But even that deal is more of a ceasefire, not an actual peace process or a way of giving Gazans their freedom.
Unfortunately, we live in an unfair world. We were dreaming of a free Palestine, but right now we're just dreaming of the killing of Palestinian people to be stopped. Why are the standards so low for Palestinians that we just want, oh, please stop killing us? Like these are our only hopes right now. It's so sad and devastating.
And it's devastating, as you said earlier. You talked about the young woman who lost limbs and said she doesn't want to be someone liked and clicked on because the awareness is already there. We're speaking on a day where there is a video going viral of a doctor in Gaza being shot in a hallway inside a hospital by an Israeli quadcopter, shot dead. Shocking video. And yet the shock is not having any impact. We have normalized the daily killing of Palestinians. It's every day. It's 70 dead, 50 dead, 40 since dawn. Just endless numbers. At what point does journalism still have an impact, do you think, when it comes to a genocide that has just been live streamed for 2 years without any end in sight?
At first, when I started watching this video, I couldn't watch it and I was like, I just want to scroll. Then I went back to the video and I was like, how privileged you are that you can just scroll as if it's another video. But Palestinians in Gaza, this is their real life and they can't scroll. And my question isn't how much journalism has an impact. My question is, when will the world have enough of our blood?
Yeah, well said. And on the subject of journalism, just sticking with that before we wrap up, Western media has said very little about the mass killing of Palestinian journalists. Some journalists have spoken out, some prominent names, but most prominent Western news anchors, TV personalities, journalists have not said much about the biggest killing of journalists in modern history. What is your message to Western media outlets? Have they failed, not just your people, but your profession in Gaza?
What's happening in Palestine isn't only about Palestinians, it's about the world we live in. So, if Western journalists are okay and happy living in a world where killing of their colleagues and other journalists is fine by them, then this is the world they're building for their children and the future generations to come and live in. As a journalist, you should have respect to your profession.
Yes. And do you think they've lost that respect when it comes to Palestinian journalists?
I think they don't have it in the first place. If they can't, if in the context of Palestine they don't have it, then you don't have a humanity.
Towards the end of the book, you write, who am I, other than a displaced Palestinian journalist who the world expects to be the perfect victim? Who am I really? I want to look in the mirror and be able to recognize the person staring back at me. I don't want to feel like I'm a body without a soul. How have you grappled with your identity since leaving Gaza? Who do you think Plestia Alaqad is today?
In Gaza, you're always treated for who you are. You're always seen for who you are. You're never seen like as a number or like as a news or a news headline. So I never felt like I have an identity crisis when I was in Gaza. But ever since I left Gaza, I felt the world was seeing me for someone I'm not. Like they're mistaking me for someone I'm not. They're seeing me as this person who's a hero, a genocide survivor. But I don't believe. I believe everyone who's still alive in Gaza is alive by luck. Like it could have been any of us who got killed. So it was just, it's still a bit challenging knowing who you are. Like, what's your place in the world as a Palestinian person who isn't in Palestine?
And before we finish, I know you wanted to read a poem from the book. So I just want to hand it over to you before we wrap up.
Okay, just a second.
While you find the poem, I'm going to remind our viewers that the book is called The Eyes of Gaza, A Diary of Resilience. Please do get your copy.
So I want to read the poem, How Do You Even Know When Wars End? Because what does it even mean when we say, oh, tomorrow the genocide will end, but there isn't any homes in Gaza, or like Gaza's already demolished? How do you even know when wars end? Is it when children stop dying from bombs? Is it when babies stop shivering in the cold? Or is it when the earth stops swallowing bodies? Is it when the last tent is torn down but no home is built? Is it when no one is left alive to scream? But how loud must we scream to be heard? In Gaza, wars do not end. Wars are the only guarantee. They end only when the last person is gone. In Gaza, war is not just bullets and bombs, not just demolishment and devastation. It is the war within yourself, a war against forgetting and against not forgetting, a war of survival, of searching for food, for water, for life itself, a war of finding shelter, of losing it, of rebuilding it from rubble. Wars are the only constant in Gaza, but so is resilience, so is love, and so is the will to live.
Plestia Alaqad, author of the new book, The Eyes of Gaza, A Diary of Resilience. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me as well.
Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications. For exclusive content and to support our independent, unfiltered journalism, head over to zeteo.com. Your support matters.